we had enough of seeing how it's being done out there. We detailed all these travels we'd been to, and all we'd seen with our combination of passion and our professional backgrounds, we could see how passion can be converted into commercialization, right?
And then identifying how we could be able to actualize and appropriate this property is what convinced me that we might have something good. Because the way we went about it, it was sure, it was clarified, the processes were, we had people with whom we could work and be able to do what we needed to do.
Entered his idea was in true Motho style, that he knows what he wants, he's thought about it, he has the backing of his passion. It's not just some random idea out of the blue.
You know, we have a racetrack there. Yes, it will take care of the enthusiasts, some fans, but what happens after they leave? What happens to the people they bring along who are not motorsport people?
Three, two, one, let's go. So, hello guys, welcome back. I know we have had each of your individual stories concerning backgrounds on how you guys all came together, and basically how you have the same shared vision. So now in this segment, I want to look into, rather I want you guys to kind of delve into, because you basically reached a conclusion that enough was enough and you needed to do something after realizing you shared the same, aspiration or goal or vision. So what happened next? Oh, thanks, Bob. Yeah, I think that was a really powerful resolution and state of mind that we came to from a number of perspectives, right? Since 2014, anytime we attended any motorsport events, the murmurs would be, if only there was a track, this would happen. If only there was a track. From 2014, right? Yes. I told you, Kevin and I were writing to South Africans in 2010 about their willingness to come and construct something here. Post 2022, we'd been confined at home for 2 years with COVID, right? Yeah. We needed to get out. We saw what COVID did. In COVID, guys would sit in their cars on the bypass till curfew time and drive home, right? The human being was not built to live in small, confined spaces. We saw rises in domestic violence. We saw rises in mental issues, right? We had enough of seeing how it's being done out there. We detailed all these travels we'd been to, and all we'd seen with our combination of passion and our professional backgrounds, we could see how passion can be converted into commercialization, right? How we can build something that is a unique selling product and services to the wider people, right? We had had enough of doubting ourselves, because if everyone is whispering about a track, right? The South Africans down 3 hours away have been building their own tracks for decades. They never brought any of the Europeans. If you want to look at the Europeans and the Japanese and the Americans as a benchmark, the South Africans were building their own thing and have been doing so for decades. And we have contractors building roads. We have contractors building airports, building highways, building dams, right? So we've had enough now, basically, of doubting ourselves as Kenyans, as Africans. So it was time to just start doing something about it. So mid-2022, when the spaces had been opened up after COVID, I just came and talked to Kevin and I was like, Kevin, we need to do something about this. We've been talking about this. We've been in this game in one form or another since 2005. Really, who was meant to do this thing, if not us? I remember, and he might have told you, but when we were looking for financing to bring in a container of bikes of 25 units, right? We were being laughed out of the banks, saying, you are not going to get that number of people on motorbikes here, so that's just too risky, right? Now there are thousands and thousands of bikes. So we could see where these trends were going. we could see where the rise in disposable income post-Kibaki was going, right? So after talking to him, I think we just resolved, because he was the one who was significantly more eloquent in putting down ideas on paper, just put down something that we can now just start talking to someone and finding some way of cracking this nut. So it took him about a week or two to put down some of our thoughts down on paper. I remember that must have been an 8 to 10 page document. And basically the output of that was what we needed here, and what would be a unique selling proposition was an integrated mixed-use ecosystem that was anchored in motorsport, but that had a lot of ancillary other activities, creating a small economy of its own. And on the scale that was big enough to be able to get the kind of corporate support and the kind of professional approach to it that it could. Because again, we are sensitive to the fact that we live in the part of the world where disposable incomes are a bit compressed. So we needed to concentrate to give a value proposition that was going to be able to cater from the smaller spenders to the bigger spenders, right? So we basically put that down on paper. In the time that he was coming to summating these thoughts, I started doing a cursory search for land, right? My initial thought process was, because motorsport is heavy equipment, we might think about stationing ourselves somewhere on the route of the SGR from Mombasa, right? So I started looking in the areas of Kibwezi. Those are the general areas I had started with, right? But of course, a few question marks came into play. What is the supporting infrastructure that's going to be available? How far away from main roads? Is capex expenditure going to start with simple access, electricity mains, and all those other things, right? But the thought process had to start somewhere, and the benchmark had to start somewhere. And why Kibwezi and not the Machakos or the Kajiados? Also because of cost of land at the end of the day.
I was going to ask you that, why looked into that area specifically, but that makes sense.
It was because it was an area with scaled availability, where cost was still significantly low, right? Because there was close to no settlement. Anyway, the whole process started, right? As that whole process started, Kevin came up with a document. And I also then remembered that there's a pal of mine who I came into biking with, and we met in 2015 in interesting circumstances. I don't know whether I told you about that. But whose curve was very steep, because he came in a very interesting way, but in 2-3 years, because of his dedication, he was kicking us all. So I'd heard that Gigi had access to some land. Okay. And I'd remembered, I recalled some whisperings of him trying to crack that nut in a small way somehow, and he'll tell us his experience on that. So basically I approached him and said, now I'm thinking about this thing. I have a partner with me. Do you still have access to some land? Are you still open to the concept? Can we do something, right? He told me, he's very open to it. He's very open to the concept. Beauty, of course, is that he's a biker. So this thing at the very core needed guys who are passionate about the activity and who don't just approach it from the business perspective. Gigi, what was your experience before?
So the first time I met Motho was not the first time I heard of the idea of doing a facility of this kind of nature on a space within the country. Yes, it is true that I was able to have access to some property, and I tried to, as Motho put it, to crack this nut previously. I think in the year 2018, 2019, we had opened some discussions about what it would require to start a project of this scale, to put a track on that space that I had access to. But it quickly became apparent that the spirit behind the process was not willing to go through was chaotic in the way they were trying to how do I say, to crack the nut, so to speak. And basically that's just how the whole process started, and it didn't even take off. Basic things like rudimentary processes like trying to get a topographical survey of the space, identifying people with whom we could be able to start statutory kind of conversations became a bit hectic to identify people with whom the passion for the build was required. So basically, that is how it started. And so when I met Motho, I still had the same skepticism. I think he would tell you I was open to see what can be done, but I had some sort of cynicism within me because we were in the same spaces even as we met, and we could see the bottlenecks, the kind of people who are in authority who they themselves were the obstacles to the kind of thing we were trying to achieve. But anyway, we went Motho to space and we saw it was quite a good fit, and from then so my confidence in the process grew a little by little until eventually now, as we say, the ship left the dock. Now we're not looking back anymore. Yeah, so that's
So what Jeffrey doesn't tell you is that he's very diplomatic. I never sense any skepticism. I just know a guy who's got signed for this thing. But naturally, we know him. But at the end of the day, you have access to land. That's not a joke, because you don't know a history of how someone has come to acquire their land. So you're naturally going to be quite careful about it. And you've already been through the process with a few other people, and it's not worked out. So naturally, you'll say, yes, I'm willing to, but let me observe what the approach is going to be this time. So anyway, he told me, Shamba Iko, we have access. We can always talk to a landowner. So I told him, hold that thought. I was planning a trip to South Africa, ostensibly on the holiday, but for me, it was good to speak to some guys who build restaurants on how and see how they've done it on that side. So I met a couple of guys at Zotkops International Raceway. Just outside, in between Joburg and Pretoria. A very compact circuit on 20 hectares of land, so 50 acres. And 50 acres, they've got a circuit, they've got a go-kart track, they've got a skid pad, right? Very, very compressed. They've got a driver experience center. But anyway, we had good conversations. Guys who are very keen to come and see what's up on this side. I think South Africa had been and is still experiencing some sort of economic stagnation, if not decline. And naturally, the motorsport scene then had started to wane a bit, because motorsport, to a large extent, thrives when there's a thriving economy because of support from the corporate sector, right? So those guys were ready, right? They were very ready, and I loved their enthusiasm, because South African guys are not corporate stuck-up guys. You can meet a millionaire, but he's a guy who's telling me, I'll be on the ground on the tractor doing this and that, because they built their stuff. We understand they have a history, but history or not, they built their stuff. They're hands-on practical guys, right? So I came back with positive vibes, good energy, good motivation. Right, and I think we had a talk with some guys from in 2023 about that.
From Red Star,
from Red Star, right? But there was still one piece of the puzzle. So the starting point of this destination, of course, of this mixed use, is building the team. The team had started with Kevin and I. Jeffrey had just come in. There was a slight missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle, because Jeffrey had good strengths in landholder and stakeholder relations. Kevin and I had good strengths in understanding the motorsport product, right? But the reality is that this mixed-use development is a big real estate infrastructure project, right? And one of the things I can proudly say about us is that we are very aware of what we don't know and very keen to bring in the necessary people to plug in, to ensure that the tidal wave that is this project keeps on growing with all the requisite and necessary skills on board, right? So there was one major piece of the jigsaw puzzle at this initial phase that was missing, and it was this guy who is qualified in real estate and infrastructure development. Interesting thing is that when you start thinking about these things, the answers can be just around you. And we thought about it. I thought about it, and I was like, there's this guy who I've been doing a real estate project with my family for the last 6 years, right? This guy just happens to be doing a real estate project with Gigi elsewhere. This guy just happens to have been doing a lot of things with Kevin. Voila. Welcome to the team. So with that now, the jigsaw puzzle for this initial part was sorted. We had the requisite skills to sit down at the table and see how to crack this nut. So I approached Austin. I told him about this project. Austin is another one who is also very diplomatic. You can't tell what he's thinking because he's got a small face.
Very tempered.
You may be telling him yes. You'll never know. That's what he feels, right? So we met over a cup of coffee. I told him about this project. And one of the guarantees I gave him is that, Austin, we have no money to pay, right? We are ordinary guys who have this ambition. It's grand, but at least we've been thinking about it for a number of years. We want to see how to crack this nut. And we've come to talk to you because we've observed you in your elements. And you need to tell us why you call him Captain America. So we've observed this guy in his elements. And he's the right guy for so many reasons. Not just because we know him, but he's straight up and he's very creative, right? In modeling, in a good way. There's a lot of creativity that's not so in a good way. So he'll tell you now what he thought about that initial episode and how we moved on from there. My guy.
Oh wow, yeah. So obviously for me the first reaction is whatever foreign substances you guys when ingesting was kind of making sense, but almost impossible to deliver. And the issue was maybe because of what we are accustomed to as a real estate market locally, because we were used to what we normally call just vanilla projects. Simple real estate, housing, residential buildings and towers, nothing creative to stretch our imagination. And when Motho brought that in, I was like, wow, that's amazing. For me, Motho had always been this guy who I deemed as a guy with serious risk tolerance because he's always coming to the project meetings with a gear, a biking gear, and he parks his bike outside and I was like, this is crazy.
It is funny because you know Motho personally, without like that scenario saying of him removing his gear and sitting down and talking and having, he's very serious.
Oh yeah.
So when you talk about the risk averseness, it's they're too.
Because on the you're right. On the flip side, very measured, very calm, articulative to the core. And the way he presented his idea was in true Motho style, that he knows what he wants, he's thought about it, he has the backing of his passion. It's not just some random idea out of the blue. So obviously I was skeptical, seriously skeptical, because no resources, financial, because projects are always heavily financial, and that locks a lot of visionaries out, obviously because of the environment we're in, but more importantly, you have to show the potential economic return very early on to even just justify partnering with consultants these days. So for me, the fact that there was a land conversation and potential high-level research to justify the idea, courtesy of Kevin. It was going to be a very easy plug-in. That these guys are not just coming in with their passion. There's a lot of thought, and there's a team being built around this idea. So for us, it was just how do we get to that target? Yeah, and the rest is just a practical deployment of resources in a methodical way to achieve the stage-by-stage end games. Yeah. So.
Did you talk about but I want to bounce it off from you to Kevin. Basically, you had some land which you were willing to give up as the land that was necessary to conceive this project. Can you talk about where it is located?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, and why would you, if you were to talk to someone outside, why that particular location? What would you say it has is going for it? What would you say are the benefits of where it is?
I think my colleague will speak more powerfully about this, but my comments after now seeing the space within the context of what we're trying to do. The space is nestled within the North Tourism Circuit. That's a very huge value proposition for that.
Yeah.
We know that people in Nairobi are they have a high affinity for spaces that are away from Nairobi, driving distance, offers maybe activities that are not present in many other places. So we felt that this location offers that kind of opportunity on the outset. Even without doing much in the space, there's a lot that is happening around the space that even without our facility, we can still get people moving out into that space. So on that context, then now we add something that is bringing families together, giving children opportunities to express themselves in that space outside Nairobi. So we felt that those things are coming together in more ways than one, more ways than even I can put together. The size of the space. That's one big value proposition for us, because then we can not only just put the tracks that we are passionate about, but even what we were speaking about, the ancillary activities and facilities that prop up the space, and it gives buy-in from the whole family or even friends that are around the people who are passionate about the sport. So some of those features are what we saw that the space provides.
Yeah, I think before even we get to where the land was, one reason for pursuing this project, if you look at the map of Africa, racetracks are only found down in South Africa and Namibia, and I think maybe Botswana. The next tracks are found in Morocco and Senegal. So south of the Sahel, all the way down to sub-Saharan Africa, there's no motorsport facility of any world-class standard at all. That's the first thing. So that was part of the opportunity. So even as Gigi talking about the land suitability, we took a trip there with Motho and Gigi, and I had not been past Karatina since I was like 12. No, since maybe a few months ago. I think I had only gone to Nyanyuki when I was like 12 years old. So I didn't know what was past Karatina. So you pass Karatina, you go to Chaka, left to Kiganjo, you head to the land. So I've never seen this landscape before. But as you begin to go down the rolling hills and you're seeing all these acacias, and the land begins to level out, on the left hand as you approach, there's the Aberdares. Majestic. You go, as you enter the land, Mount Kenya is on your right. So already, heaven was presenting itself. The paradise already started opening up to us. Because I don't know which other place you can go where you see these two iconic landmarks very clearly by there. So we arrive at this land, and then it's also gently undulating. It's not like hilly, not crazy. Weather is brilliant. It's sunny most of the time. So we went and saw the land, took a walk around it. There's a river passing there. So already the romantic in me is already falling in love with the place. And I even remember telling Gigi, what's the name of this place? This is Suguroi. And I was like, there you go. because it presents a unique place to root this platform, not just in Kenya, but Africa and the world. Yeah. So the land, this was all about the land. So it's fed by good roads. Like Gigi said, it's in a northern tourism circuit, not far. We have Tafaria there. We have Mount Kenya Safari Club. All these are places that are there. So it sits within a certain context that would allow us to create this viable synergy between all these experiences that would now add to the viability of this project. Yeah. So
now that you've mentioned its case, or rather that area, Suguroi, how do you bring these pieces of motorsport, real estate, leisure? How do you fit all these pieces together? Try and bring this product that is an ecosystem, but is anchored, as you said, in motorsport.
Yeah. First of all, one thing that's very, very obvious to us is that you just can't go and lay tarmac outside somewhere 3 hours away and leave it alone and expect it to thrive. Yeah. From the beginning, this had to be thought out as a viable project. So we realized what would make this project quite unique. We have a racetrack there. Yes, it will take care of the enthusiasts, some fans, but what happens after they leave? What happens to the people they bring along who are not motorsport people? Yeah, and I think maybe Motho, you can speak to now the other side of why this is why this works.
It's basically understanding that in this day and age, what you need to cater for is the entire family, right? Because, like Kevin said, you're driving 3 hours away from Nairobi, 230 kilometers. Right? If you want an ecosystem that is going to thrive and get people to patronize it on a regular basis, you have to offer a variety and a menu of activities with an anchor activity that is motorsport, that is compelling, yes, but a variety of activities that cater for the entire family to get the buy-in of the entire family. I think more importantly also then we have to look at crafting and curating, because part of the due diligence we were doing, and even when Kevin was putting his thoughts down on paper, was the obvious intention to not just construct, but to curate the products that are going to be available on site. We are intent on making this a world-class destination. We are intent on making this a center of inspiration to this region that is having a dearth of inspiration of any sort at the moment. We all know the kind of situation we're in at the moment. We don't need to speak about that. But we need a bright light. We need to be able to show that we can do it as well, right? So all those things were flowing in our mind. And again, in terms of the beauty and suitability of the location, it was a blank slate, right? For miles and miles and miles on end. So we have the capability and the ability to draw the picture and the painting that we want to be seen in terms of quality, in terms of content, right? So it's about bringing all those things that you talked about together to one harmonious and coordinated ecosystem, because at the end of the day we have aspirations for a good lifestyle, and a good lifestyle is where you sleep, what you eat, what you drive, what you can learn, how your kids are enjoying themselves, for those who have kids, right? That's the summation of what an aspirational lifestyle is. So that's what we're looking to try and build, right? But inspirational, so to show our people we can do this. This is born in Kenya, conceptualized in Kenya by Kenyans, and built for Kenyans, East Africans, and Africans primarily.
I think to add to that, for me, my perspective on the mix was first to start with the problem that these guys were trying to solve, and I think there was a lot of resources around how much we need to resolve in terms of the motorsport world, and obviously that permanent platform made so much sense. So that was the tip of the iceberg, and we had to look at motorsport as as a solution approach. So motorsport is looked at least for guys who are outside, like I was initially, as exclusive, very expensive, and it's all distant.
Yes.
It's as Kevin mentioned, I think all the other continents except Africa, with the exceptions of those nodes, participate really truly in its fullness. Africa, I think in Kenya, we know the various experiences with so much potential, but that brought in the distance part. So can we bring something that's close? Obviously, we've talked about land and its availability and its cost. That allowed us to accept this location as a very unique strategic point. So there was also the problem around the fact that it's expensive. Motorsport is seen as a very expensive sport, and I think I allow it for it to thrive while reducing a lot of the hurdles that were perceived as motorsport. So being in Kenya, being in Laikipia, how do you deal with that? Okay, and finally, I think the whole thing about exclusivity would be addressed by inclusivity in terms of instead of motorsports only, it needs to be family oriented as mothers.
All inclusive.
Yeah. So what elements would you add therefore around that?
Yeah. Plus, to make an economy work, there are several centers you need. Need food and beverage, accommodation, all that banking, all that stuff. So we thought of, instead of just looking at this as a track, it has to be looked at as an ecosystem where these two different worlds can thrive. Yeah. So it allows all those to, come into this opportunity and grow. So as you know, motorsport as an economy is quite large out there, and all the business setters can plug in, and creativity can just thrive. So we wanted to put that here. Yeah, as Africans, created by Africans, that was what we wanted to do.
We looked at various case studies before you ask me anything else.
Yeah.
And Spain is known as a very advanced motorcycle motorsport destination. And there the government is very active in growth and support. And what they would do is they would look at regions that are lagging behind in economic development. So the last region they looked at is this region called Teruel, which is where the Aragon circuit is located. So they looked at these regions and said, this region is lagging in development. And the easiest way to spark development is to bring something that people can resonate with, that they are passionate about. You can bring the vanilla stuff that you need to live. Standard real estate, standard industries that are producing the average goods and services. But if you bring in an economy that is centered around passionate activity, not only are you going to bring in locals, but then you bring in internationals to help spearhead and catalyze the growth. Now in Aragon, anytime you have a MotoGP, there are 150, 200,000 people. 80% of those are from out of Spain, right? So they're contributing towards the Spanish GDP and the development of the region, right? So, but it's the passion. That's the thing that triggered it, and it's not by accident that is the activity that they chose to center around the development in that area, right? So we looked at a number of things. We love that side of Laikipia because it is also a side of Laikipia that's not really on the map. People know that side more as Nyahururu and Nyeri, right? But actually that main road is what divides the county. So we're on Laikipia East side, right? So I think Kevin talked about, it's Gigi who talked about it being a northern circuit hotspot. So we're also looking at, offering a complementary tourism product that is going to contribute towards the GDP of this country. Because motorsport tourism is big. I told you about how in Nigeria, how in Thailand. So I was contributing to GDP of foreign countries. And I'm not rich by any way, shape, or form. So I'm having to save, but taking that money out there. Right? And Kenyans are traveling. Kenyans are open. We are literally at the center of the world in so many ways, and we relate very well to all corners of the world because of our spoken English. So there were so many factors that played in the favor of this location that we came to, and as we continue to live the story, because remember I told you we're looking to live the story now, and that's why we were telling the story about our past, because now we want the public to appreciate where we've come from and now hold our hands in this journey going forward, right? Then the public will be able to see the beauty of the place in question and what this journey with us.
Most motorsport is said to be a team sport, and so is a project like this. Have you found it? Have you been able to onboard any trusted partners or anyone who's willing to work with you in this journey? Allies. Even as you look forward to, probably trying to speak to potential investors, big or small. Have you been able to bridge that gap?
Austin, what say you?
Yeah, I think I'll start with the landowner because just by going there and appreciating the space, it was not a done deal. We still had to have a lot of negotiations. We had to put forth proposals that would be accepted, and we had a lot of back and forth in terms of crafting something that worked. Now, fortunately, with the help of a lot of brilliance from this team and a very good responsive lawyer who was working on behalf of the landowner, who obviously became our first consultant in the team, we managed to secure this parcel. I think we will talk a lot more about that going forward in the journey, but that became the first kind of resource that we plugged in. Obviously, we had to approach this project in multiple fronts because there's the technical aspects of the design. This whole idea has to be put on paper. The whole idea, once put on paper, has to go through the statutory processes and get relevant permits that are required for us to execute. So there's that front as well. We had to look at the whole aspect of marketing this idea. So coming up with a lot of foundation and background around how we'll put all this thing out there for people to appreciate and buy into. So there's a whole discussion around that Kevin will talk more about. Yeah, and on the finance side, again, as Motho said, we have our limits in terms of not just resources, but mostly appreciating where we need strategic players to plug in. So on the finance side, we looked at what are the possibilities of going into the market and raising this, and I know we'll discuss more about that as well. So in terms of technical team, the design team obviously was going to come in first. And fortunately, we had history with a firm called Symbion. And Symbion are reputable architectural and master planning consultants known around the globe, very big in Africa, multiple offices spread across Africa and the region, and have done some serious real estate projects. So they floated to the top in terms of considerations for this kind of grand scale of a master plan. We were talking close to 500 acres, and this was not just going to be a small task. So Symbion were happy to plug in, and we obviously negotiated a very good startup bid. And I think they've been impressive to date. They've taken us through a good journey and really reinforced the idea so much that I think we are on another level from where what we conceived to what we are looking at as a product. That's amazing.
So it was such a breath of fresh air for Symbion to give you such a legitimate, like that kind of backing. Saying, I'm not saying, this is there.
You're right, and spot on, because it worked both ways. Symbion the team at Symbion keep telling us how unique this project is. It's one of the most interesting projects that they've participated in. So there's a lot of synergy around that, because there's shared passion in terms of creating this idea in Kenya and allowing them, almost honoring them to be part of it. So it was really a good exchange of energy, and the product just reflected that. Yeah, I think the other design member was I'll allow Kevin to talk more about it because it's a very specialized element in the thing.
Yeah. I mean, as Motho told you, this project, to pull off something like this, standards and quality have to be the game of the day. So when it comes to motorsport, I mean, if you're going to make a world-class facility, there are only so many people you can talk to. Of course, people like Herman Tilka were out of the question because those costs are astronomical. But initially, like Motho said, we had gone to South Africa. We had talked to some South Africans just to help us get, an understanding of the costs to develop such a facility. But about, I think, mid-2023, I did a bit of searching and I found these guys in the UK called Apex Circuit Design. Apex Circuit Design have a whole slew of projects they've done, and they're FIA-approved circuit designers who, coincidentally, have designed Whistling Morans in Kenya. So they had already been here before. So to me, it was kind of obvious because, look, if they've come here before, then they understand the lay of the land. Let's check them out. It so happens that their director also loves this country and has come here before. And, he was happy to join this project. So, we joined with Apex. They were excited, but of course, we didn't just, there's a bit of consultation by the time we onboarded them. But, Apex is the pinnacle and in terms of standards quality. So, that is how we got them on board. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, maybe you can, what challenges so far? I know you've taken some steps. There's still a long way to go, but so far, could you speak on the challenges that you've come across, getting to where you've reached?
Speaking to what I've encountered, and the guys will also talk about theirs, I think the first one, which is understandable, is skepticism. A project would pick up a lot faster if everyone you talked to jumped on board, right? But I think also the skepticism is understandable because the unfortunate reality is that the Kenyan investor has been taken for a ride on big projects many a time, right? So that's a hurdle you have to breach. And I think with the team here and the dynamism of the team, the intention is to try and gain as much traction as possible before we need and as we inform, for people to see that we are serious about it. Staying power is also important, right? That people need to get you talking about this project now and see concrete steps, even in the evolution of the thought process. So that's a good challenge. It's a problem, but it's a good challenge. I think for us, we are taking everything as a challenge at the end of the day, because there are very few people who inherently want to see it fail. They will be skeptics for one reason or another. Majority good, like I'm saying, but we take up the challenge positively, because at the end of the day, the hope is that we are building an ecosystem that is of regional importance. Austin, what do you say?
Yeah, I think for me, first and foremost is that if not for our sort of common connected background, the challenges would have been probably 10x. And I think just individually, Gigi and I have conceptualized and executed a project since 2017. And we had a lot of key learnings along the way. Most of those lessons we brought into the project. And it made so much of those would-be challenges very easy. Not eradicate the whole thing, but in terms of our perspective as we approach these problems or these tasks, there's a lot of hindsight in terms of knowledge and how to treat potential hampering situations. So that kind of connectivity in the background made it quite easy in terms of the project execution side. So potentially we would have had a serious issue with the county of Laikipia, but because of our readiness and our experiences in Nairobi County, Kiambu County, Motho as well knows how our projects, real estate, had to deal with such kind of institutions and situations. So that hindsight and that collective gains over past experiences give us a real big chance. So I think on the project side, for me, we've had it quite okay compared to a project this scale without our old connections. But obviously the challenge would be therefore the financing, because this is a grand scale project. The numbers are astronomical in terms of eventually getting this product out. So patience is the name of this game. And for us, as Motho has mentioned, we have this quarterly review of edible chunks, what we can achieve within a short period that translates into serious gains over the interim and in the medium term, with that stubborn long-term vision. So that's personalization of the stages has really come through for us. Now the challenges are still there. Fortunately, we've had to resource a lot internally in terms of getting the groundwork done, because it costs money to get things moving. It costs money to get consultants at the caliber of Simon and Apex working. So resourcing internally, scaling up in terms of being ready to meet other players at a higher level when you're ready, that takes a lot of investment. So that came through for us. And we still have a long way to go. The challenges are larger upfront. However, with this culture of granular approach to problems, I think we're going to achieve this endgame. Yeah.
I don't want to call this like a conclusion, but because as Motho has spoken, this is a journey walking into the future, and I think you will talk more about, for example, the master plan in other segments. But as we conclude for today, I would like each of you to speak to, especially Kenyans, number one, and probably people outside of Kenya. What's next for this project, and what would you hope to see or achieve, going forward?
I think for me is to start by saying we need to dream. This world has been built on dreams. Any physical infrastructure you see on this world that you find amazing was because there was a dreamer somewhere, right? I understand that you can have conditions that stifle dreaming. That's the reality. So we have to be sensitive to that. But nonetheless, have perspective. Because the other reality is, when there's blood in the streets, so to speak, when there's economic difficulty, so to speak, matter of perspective on things is what determines who is successful and who is not. So we are looking at the positive aspect of things and saying that we feel this is a product that is needed. We would like to take the whole of society with us. But we also want to call on society to give as much feedback as possible. Because we are building what is going to be used by society, but we can never take it for granted that we know everything that they need, right? So we want engagement, ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans, East Africans, Africans. We want engagement. We want constructive pushback on what our vision and our expanding vision is going to be, to ensure that we're able to build something that we can all benefit from, and to be able to build an oasis of inspiration that can trigger more projects of this sort in different fields all over this continent.
Okay, I think my giveaway is to Kenyans and the public is that, and my perspective is going to be on the investment side. I think the project, the way we've packaged it, is a very suitable investment in terms of an alternative investment segment. Big players are used to investing in typical Kenyan projects, residential. I think it's time that we sort of broaden our wings and explore such projects that have been profitable elsewhere. These are not new ideas. These are things that have worked in the West, in Asia, and there's a lot of economy around this kind of project. And for us bringing it here, we see it not just as a timely investment, but as an opportunity to just think differently and attract money or capital to investments such as this. So, again, I think we'll be going into the market to look for larger funds further down the road. And that's a kind of selling point we're bringing here. It's a unique, but it's a viable alternative investment segment.
Okay. I'll let Gigi close it for us.
Well, it's a large vision, it's no small feat, but motorsport and real estate are not unique things. What is unique is how we are going to package it. And like Austin and Motho have said, this thing has been conceptualized in a way to get other industries to plug in easily. And, for investors, free viability. I think what I can understand by saying is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And Africans are creators, despite all thoughts to the contrary. This is what we are going to prove with this project. And we look forward to the buy-in from Kenyans, from Africans, from motorsport enthusiasts all over the world. Yeah.
Take us home.
So my appeal to Kenyans or anybody basically who would look at this as somewhere they would want to be able to experience, is to recognize that the people building this are people who are within the space. It's not being done by people outside. It's people who have watched the space, people who have experienced the difficulties of the discipline, the sport, and people who want something different. We're one of you, and I think we've walked similar journeys. Our stories are not just our stories alone. I think we represent a whole society of people who have the same kind of displeasure with the status quo. So to the Kenyans outside there, maybe even to the people who are very active on social media platforms and are able to send out messages and sentiments on these platforms, is to support something that is your own. Many times that have been the case that when people are trying to do some good things and the people who have a voice that can support don't speak out, and the people who are not supporting seem to have a large voice. So I am appealing to the people who are watching this and can be able to support, then bring your voice in such a way that any negative influence has no space, has no power, because what we're doing here, like I mentioned before in my piece, is we're not doing this to glorify ourselves or to get funding for ourselves or get money for ourselves. I can tell you for a fact these people have done over and above what someone would do even if they were being paid. And if we can support that kind of spirit, I think then we will be able to, all of us, reward ourselves in one way or another by participating, in the sense that we can be able to bring positive sentiment to this idea. If the country can rally behind this, even if any negative influence tries to poke itself in this situation, it won't have that kind of power. But it will if the people who can be able to speak out positively don't say anything. So yeah, that my appeal is support us in the way you can. One of the most powerful ways we can support this is put out a positive sentiment towards the idea, the space. If you feel that we resonate with you in terms of the vision that we're carrying out, tell people about it. Speak positively about it. If you have nothing positive to say, then maybe don't say anything, but that's okay. But don't let the negative influence carry the day when we can support and have something that is our own. Nobody here is from out of this country. We are all native born. And that's what we are saying. Hey, come and walk with us in the way that we can be able to deliver what it is that we have going on.
Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you. I guess, yeah, we'll talk further in other segments about this, beautiful, innovative project. We'll see, continue walking in this journey, see how far it goes, hopefully, to its logical conclusion, which is the first of its kind. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's taking it home.
My God.
Taking it home. Hey, that's the conversion.
My friend was it? Mufika tracks time ya fast. Usha set pole time.
That's a really good finish.
Katoprak hivi.